At Christmas dinner, my parents handed my brother a $10,000 check, then turned to me and said, "Failures don't get rewards. You don't deserve a damn thing." My brother laughed while they told me I was an embarrassment to the family. I stood up, said understood, and walked out into the night. That was 4 years ago. 3 weeks ago, I made a move they weren't prepared for. Today, they left dozens of messages screaming, "Answer your phone." So this happened a while back, but it's never really stopped replaying in my head, especially this time of year. I don't even know how to start it without sounding like I'm exaggerating, but honestly, this was just my family being themselves, which is probably the real problem. Anyway, here's part one because I'm still mad about it, and NGL, I'm curious if anyone else has ever had a Christmas like that, so my parents are the type who want everything to look perfect on the outside. Like, they'll fight about bills or whatever before people come over and then act like everything's chill when the doorbell rings. Growing up, it was always this thing where my brother Grant got all the attention and I was just there, I guess, which whatever. I thought maybe it'd get better as we got older, but TBH, it's just gotten more obvious. Grant is a couple years younger, always been the favorite. No one in the family even tries to pretend otherwise anymore. My mom, Marilyn, used to say stuff like Grant is her heart and I'm the practical one, which I found out was her nice way of saying I'm boring and not good at parties. My dad, David, is kinda the silent type unless he's got a reason to brag about Grant. Then suddenly, he's got a lot of opinions. So this one Christmas 4 years ago, I get told to come over early. There's this group chat. Mom says she wants everyone together for family time before dinner. I show up and it's already weird. Grant is pacing around on his phone. My parents are whispering in the kitchen. Harper, Grant's fiance at the time, is helping set the table but keeps checking her nails like she'd rather be anywhere else. My aunt and cousin Rachel are there too, mostly just scrolling TikTok and not talking to anyone. Right away, Grant is talking about how he's about to make some big moves and how some people need to step up if they want to make something of themselves. No one says anything, but I hear my mom laugh quietly and look at my dad. I'm just sitting there, drinking whatever cheap soda was around, trying not to make eye contact. It's always like this. Grant making digs, parents acting like he's some genius. Dinner starts fine. I mean, food is actually good. I'll give my mom that. But there's this weird tension like everyone knows something's coming and I'm the only one not in on it. My aunt is talking about her dog. Rachel is showing Harper some meme. Grant keeps tapping his fork on the plate like he's waiting for a drum roll. My dad keeps checking his phone under the table, which mom hates. But she doesn't call him out this time. After we eat, mom stands up and says she wants to celebrate some real achievements. Immediately, Grant sits up straighter and looks at me, smirking. Mom goes on about hard work, dedication, being a role model, and then hands Grant this envelope with both hands like it's an award show or something. Grant opens it, laughs, and holds up a check. He literally says, "Guess it pays to be the successful one in the family," and shows the check to Harper, who squeals and hugs him. My dad claps, says, "That's what being a man looks like." I don't say anything, just stare at my plate. Mom says it's $10,000 away because Grant makes us proud. He's always been the one who keeps our name strong. I honestly thought she was joking for a sec because who gives their kid 10 grand at dinner? But nope, it's real. Then my mom turns to me, and it gets super quiet, like you could literally hear Rachel's phone vibrate. Mom says, "Well, some people in this family don't get reward." She says, "Failures don't get reward." She says, "You don't deserve a damn thing." My dad just nods and looks straight at me like he's waiting for me to argue. Grant laughs, not even pretending to hide it, and says, "Wow, rough, but you heard her," and elbows me under the table. I push his arm away. He shoves my shoulder back harder than he needed to. I stand up and my chair scrapes, which makes my mom flinch. I ask, "What is this?" My mom says, "You never did what we asked. You never finished anything. You're lazy. You waste your chances." My dad says, "You embarrass us." Grant says, "Maybe if you actually tried for once." Harper just says, "Maybe we should all just calm down." But my mom cuts her off, says, "No, people need to hear the truth." I say, "All right, understood." My mom says, "Maybe you'll finally get it." My dad just crosses his arms. Grant grins at me, still holding the check, waving it around. I grab my jacket and walk out. My aunt tries to grab my arm. I shake her off and keep going. Grant shouts, "Don't let the door hit you," and laughs again. I slam the door. I don't look back, just walk down the driveway. It's freezing outside and I don't even care. I can hear them talking behind the door, my mom saying something about how I need to grow up, Dad making some comment about how I'll come crawling back, Grant joking that maybe I'll ask for a loan next year. I just keep walking, all the way to the end of the block. I text a friend, ask if he's around, and just stand there waiting for a ride. My phone buzzes a few times. It's my aunt, but I don't answer. I scroll through my feed, try to pretend it didn't just happen. I see Grant's story pop up. He's already posted a pic of the check with a bunch of fire emojis. I crash at my friend's place that night. Don't grab my stuff, don't answer any calls. My parents don't text, not even the next day. My aunt messages. Says they didn't mean it, but I know they did. It's always been like this, just never so loud. To answer the obvious, yeah. Grant's always been the favorite. My mom says she had a hard time getting pregnant with him, so he was her miracle, and I was just the first pancake that didn't quite work out. My dad always wanted someone to go the right way, and Grant actually did it, so I guess that's why he gets the rewards and I get nothing. It's not just one thing. It's every holiday, every birthday, every time I'd get left out of family group chats or find out about stuff after the fact. Grant likes having power. My parents love having a golden child, and I just got used to being the one who wasn't invited to the group vacation or whatever. Anyway, that's how it happened. I walked out, didn't look back, and didn't say sorry. Not gonna lie. I decided that night I was never gonna let it slide. They wanted to make it clear I was nothing to them, so I figured fine. Let's see how they like it when I'm not around to be their punching bag. I'll write the next part if people care, but this is where it all started. If you're reading this, yeah, I really did walk out and yeah, I never went back. They're about to find out what it feels like to get left out. Update 1. So I didn't go back to my parents' house after that Christmas, not even once. Not for birthdays, not for holidays, not even funerals or whatever. People ask if that was hard, but honestly, the hardest part was admitting it was always like this. I just finally stopped pretending. The first few weeks after, I got like 3 texts total. First was my aunt. Classic, they didn't mean it. You know how your mom is. Then Grant sent a meme about crying in the club and tagged me, like it was a joke. I left him on read, blocked him everywhere except one chat just in case I needed receipts. My mom never texted. My dad sent a single message that said, grow up. So yeah, that's the level. I stayed on my friend's couch for a while, helped him move apartments, paid rent late some months, did a lot of side gigs. Wasn't easy. The silence from my family was almost peaceful though. No one calling to ask if I'd figured it out yet, or comparing me to Grant, or making me feel like a guest in my own life. I heard about Grant's wedding from a mutual friend, not from family. That stung, but whatever. I didn't even know he was engaged until I saw the post on his Instagram. All so grateful for my perfect family, and the usual flexing. My aunt tried to guilt me into coming, said my parents were so disappointed, but I didn't answer. The only time my mom reached out was when she wanted something. I got this text months later, asking if I could help Grant out with some money because his honeymoon plans went sideways. I ignored it. She called me selfish. Grant DM'd me a meme about paying your dues. Blocked that too. Not gonna lie, there were times I thought maybe I'd overreacted. I'd see families out together, hear coworkers talk about family game night or whatever, and I'd get this ache, like maybe I was the one who broke it. Then I'd remember that dinner, Grant's laugh, my mom's voice. It always came back to that. Here's the part where it gets weird. About 2 years after I left, I started hearing from people back home that things weren't so great for my parents. They'd taken out some loans to help Grant with business stuff that apparently didn't go anywhere. My parents' house? Heard from Rachel they tried to sell it and no one bit. Grant's marriage didn't last. Harper left him after a year, took most of her stuff and posted all about her fresh start on socials. My dad still pretended everything was fine, posting old photos, acting like they were living this dream life. But every now and then, I'd get a call from a random number and it'd be my mom. She'd ask if I could come home for just one weekend, or if I'd help out with a little loan, just until things get back on track. I hung up every time. The thing is, it wasn't just that they left me out, it was like they needed me to stay down, just so they could feel right about their choices. Grant was the miracle, because my mom had him after thinking she couldn't have kids and I was the one they settled for. That's not even me being dramatic. She actually said that to my face once when I was like 13. My dad's whole thing is image. He'd rather lose everything than admit Grant's not the golden child. I started saving every spare dollar I could. Moved out of my friend's place, got my own spot, nothing fancy. I didn't post much online, didn't want them knowing what I was up to. I'd see Grant and my parents post about new cars, new phones. Then a few months later, nothing. I watched the background of their pics get smaller, less stuff in the house. Then suddenly, they're never posting from the old place anymore. Here's where I started thinking about payback. I wasn't going to do petty stuff like cancel subscriptions or whatever. That's weak. I wanted them to feel exactly how I felt. Cut out, left with nothing, ignored. So I started keeping tabs on their house, checked Zillow every month, watched the price drop. One day, I see it's listed as pre-foreclosure. I don't even know if my parents realized it was public. Maybe they thought no one would notice. But I did. I called the number on the listing, didn't give my name, just asked what it would take to buy it outright. I spent weeks going over every detail, making sure there was no way they'd know it was me. I set up an LLC, did all the paperwork, didn't even use my real email. I talked to the agent, arranged everything through a third party so my name wouldn't pop up. Meanwhile, Grant started texting again. He sends this long message about family sticking together, then says my parents are struggling and it'd be the right thing to help out. I asked him why he didn't use his 10 grand. He says that's gone. Used it to invest. My mom starts calling, not even pretending anymore. Leaves voicemails about how the family is falling apart and only you can help. I don't answer. My dad sends a single text, says, be a man, help your family. I don't reply. The day the house went up for auction, I logged in and watched the bids. Grant tried to outbid, but he didn't have enough. My LLC won. I got a call from my mom begging me to help them buy back the house. I just listened, let her talk, then hung up. Next part is when they find out who the buyer really is. And yeah, I made damn sure they knew what it felt like to get shut out. Didn't think I'd actually go through with it, but honestly, watching them scramble felt a lot better than I thought it would. If you're still following, this is where it starts to get real. Update 2. Alright, so this is where things actually start getting wild. And honestly, I didn't think I'd get this far, but here we are. If you read my earlier posts, you know my family basically cut me out, and I cut them right back. Didn't expect to get the chance to really flip the script on them, but life's funny that way, I guess. So this all started getting real when I noticed my parents' house showed up as pre-foreclosure on Zillow. Not even kidding. That's how I found out. I'd been watching it for months, just checking in now and then. Not for any reason except IDK, curiosity, habit, maybe spite. I never thought they'd actually lose it. My dad always acted like money wasn't an issue, but I guess Grant's investments and their need to keep up appearances finally caught up. I saw the photos start to get dated. You could tell stuff wasn't getting fixed anymore. The yard looked rough, some of the family furniture disappeared from the background, but they still posted old pics on Facebook like nothing changed. Classic. The weird part was, as soon as the listing changed, I got a call from an unknown number. I picked up, half expecting a spammer, but it was Grant. He didn't even bother with small talk, just launched straight into how things are tight right now, and family needs to stick together. He asked if I could help with a small loan, like 10 grand or something. He didn't mention the house, just said things were a little more complicated than usual. I told him I had nothing to give and hung up. After that, my mom called, left some long message about how families have to lean on each other in hard times. Not a word about the house, still pretending nothing was wrong. I set up the LLC months ago, just in case. I'd been saving, grinding, living cheap, and yeah, I had enough to make an offer. I found a local guy to handle everything, made sure my name never showed up anywhere public. I didn't want them to know it was me until it was already done. I didn't want to give them any chance to weasel out or talk their way around it. So the auction starts. I'm watching it on my phone, just sitting in my tiny apartment, eating cereal straight from the box. Grant tries to bid. I know it's him because the name is his old gamer tag with some numbers at the end. LOL. I actually laughed when I saw it. He got outbid within minutes. Barely had enough to play. A couple of other bidders, but my LLC had the cash. I won it. Just like that. The next week, I get a call from my mom. She's not even pretending to be calm. She says something about some outsider buying the house, how it's a betrayal after all these years, and how real family would help. I just listened, let her rant, then hung up. My dad texted me one word, coward, nothing else. A few days later, there's a knock at my door. I look through the peephole. It's Grant. He's got this look like he's already lost. I open the door, he doesn't even say hi, just pushes past me into my kitchen. He starts throwing his hands around, saying I should have warned him, and why didn't I say I was coming for the house? I tell him I didn't need to warn anyone. It's business now. He actually shoves me. Not hard, but enough to make his point. I shove him right back and tell him if he touches me again, he can leave. He slams his hand on my table, says, I'll regret it. I said, maybe you'll finally understand what it feels like to lose something you thought was yours. He storms out, slams the door so hard it rattles the frame. I just stood there, waiting to see if he'd come back, but he didn't. My mom tried to call again, left this desperate message about how I was destroying the family legacy and tearing us apart. I didn't answer. My dad actually showed up at my apartment one night, banged on the door, yelling about how I was a disgrace, how I'd never be one of them. I didn't even open the door. He eventually left, muttering something to himself the whole way down the hallway. Next thing I know, my cousin Rachel texts me, says she heard from my aunt that my parents are telling everyone I scammed them out of the house, that I'm some kind of snake. I just told her it was business, not personal. She said, you know they'll never forgive you, right? I said, I don't care if they do. The thing is, they always acted like I was disposable. Like if I left, there'd always be someone else to fill the seat. Grant was the favorite, the one who could do no wrong. Even when he blew through their money and left them with nothing but bills. My mom needed a golden child. My dad needed someone to carry the name. I was just a reminder to them of everything that didn't go according to plan. So fine, I gave them a taste of that feeling. I took everything they thought was safe. The official notice came in the mail a week later. I made sure it was delivered by a courier, so there was no way they could ignore it. My mom tried to call over and over, then finally just sent a text that said, "You're dead to us." My dad didn't say anything. I guess even he knew there was nothing left to say. My aunt called too, tried to play peacekeeper, said I should give them another chance, that families fight, but they always come back together. I told her, not this time. Rachel said she didn't blame me, but she didn't want to get in the middle either. I get that. I kept the house. Didn't even bother trying to rent it out. Just let it sit there, empty. Sometimes I drive by just to see if any of them ever come back. So far, nothing. I heard Grant moved in with some friends. My parents are in a rental across town. No one talks to me, and honestly, I like it that way. I know a lot of people on here will say it's harsh, but if you knew my family, you'd get it. I'm not interested in forgiveness or some big reunion. They made their choice. Now they get to live with it. Next part is when the calls start. Like a ridiculous number of calls, texts, voicemails all day, all night. They finally realize they can't get out of this. And it's honestly the most satisfying thing I've ever experienced. If you want to know what that's like, just wait for the next update. Final update. So yeah, if you've followed this far, you know the setup. I bought the house out from under them. Didn't care about being subtle, didn't care about family anymore. Just wanted them to get a taste of being left out and powerless for once. I guess I expected some yelling and drama, but what actually happened after the papers hit was next level, even for them. First thing was the calls. Started out normal. 1 or 2 missed calls from my mom, a text from Grant with a wall of angry emojis, then my dad just writing, "Call me, now." I didn't answer. Figured they'd get the hint, but nope, it ramped up quick. I had my phone on Do Not Disturb, and when I checked later, I'm talking dozens of missed calls, all caps texts, voicemails that were just my mom alternating between crying and yelling. Grant tried to FaceTime me twice. My dad just kept texting, "Be a man and answer your father." They even messaged me on WhatsApp, which they never use. Rachel texted, "They're losing it, just so you know." So I finally listened to one voicemail. My mom ranting about how I ruined my brother's life, how I destroyed everything we built, how real men don't abandon their families. She threw in that classic line, "You'll regret this when you're older," which just sounded pathetic after all these years. Grant left a voicemail basically just shouting into the mic, saying I'd pay for this and how he'd never let me forget what I did. Honestly, I laughed. My dad's was just silence. Then a single "call me back" said slow, like he was holding it together with both hands. Here's where the real fallout started. My parents got the real move-out date. It wasn't a shock. They'd been dodging bills for a while, but seeing the notice with my LLC's name, not mine directly but close enough for anyone to Google, must have hit different. My mom texted again saying I tricked them, that I was cruel, and that no good son would do this. Dad tried to threaten legal action. I just saved the texts. Grant tried to bluff like he'd get the house back somehow, then turned around and told everyone online that I was mentally unstable and holding a grudge for no reason. I didn't even bother responding, just watched as people in their circle started picking sides. I heard from Rachel that the story at family gatherings changed every week. First, I was manipulated by outsiders. Then, I was bought off. Then, it was just he was always jealous of Grant. They never once said anything about the actual reason, that they made it clear I meant nothing to them, and I finally proved I didn't need them. They moved out 2 weeks ago. Rachel sent me a pic of the empty living room, no furniture, just the old curtains. Grant's engagement was already dead before this, but apparently his ex sent him a screenshot of the eviction notice and blocked him everywhere. My parents are in some rental that's way smaller than the house, and now my aunt is texting me, saying I should be ashamed, and family is family, no matter what. I told her, not anymore. I got one last call from my mom. She actually came to my apartment, knocked. I didn't answer. She started yelling outside the door, saying stuff about how I'd never be forgiven for this. My neighbor came out and told her to leave. She slapped my door, then stormed off. I just waited until it was quiet, then opened the door and picked up the mail. My dad tried to show up too, but when I opened the door, he just glared at me, didn't say a word, then walked off, slamming the door to the building behind him. I think he wanted to hit me but decided against it. Probably smart. So now, it's just silence. Their numbers are blocked. I deleted the voicemails, set all my socials to private. People who actually know what went down are either neutral or quietly supportive. Rachel says my parents are telling people I ruined their lives, and Grant is telling anyone who'll listen that he's going to make it back bigger than ever. I doubt it. Last I checked, he's couch surfing and posting motivational quotes on his story. And me? I still drive by the house sometimes. I don't even want it, TBH. I just like knowing it's mine, and that they know it too. I didn't do this for some fairy tale ending or to teach a lesson. I did it because I was done being their backup plan, their scapegoat. They're nothing. I wanted them to feel what they always made me feel, like they didn't matter. And now they do. So yeah, that's where it ends. They can scream all they want, but I'm not picking up. Not now, not ever. I got my revenge and I don't owe them a damn thing. If anyone's still reading, thanks for sticking with it. Sometimes you just have to burn the bridge and not look back. No neat ending here, but I don't need one. I finally got to be the one who walked away.